Today, Apple is one of the most recognized technology companies in the world. It was founded by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Steve Jobs was born on February 24, 1955. In 1972, Steve Jobs attended Reed College in Portland, Oregon. He dropped out of the college after one semester to visit India and study Eastern religions in the summer of 1974. In 1926, Steve Jobs was 21 years old and Steve Wozniak was 26 years old when they formed their own company. They named their company Apple, which is the Apple of today. In 1977, Jobs and Wozniak redesigned their computer with the idea of selling it to individual users. This computer is known as the Apple II. The Apple II went to market with an impressive first-year sales of $2.7 million. After Apple Macintosh was released in 1984, he was fired because of the disagreements he had with his colleagues. He then founded the companies Next Computer and Pixar. After Steve Jobs left, the Apple company did not perform well. However, Steve Jobs continued to succeed in his new companies. So the Apple management had decided to ask Steve Jobs to come back to Apple. In 1997, Steve Jobs sold Next Step to Apple and became Apple's CEO. Steve Jobs is one of very few people who has been able to change our world through his inventions.
Confidence. One of the most famous stories involving Steve Jobs' confidence is when he won a special type of glass for the front of the iPhone, and he won it quick. When an employee told him it was impossible, Steve Jobs simply said, "Yes, you can do it. You can deliver. Don't be afraid." This type of confidence not only in himself and in his products, but also in others is what made Steve Jobs the leader so many know him as today. Adaptable. Steve Jobs' ability to be adaptable is something that Steve Jobs used to his advantage in multiple situations. When Steve Jobs was ousted from Apple when he was 30 years old for his lack of empathy and leadership skills, the innovator spent the next 12 years adapting his skill and his unique style of leadership to better fit the needs of the company. But he adapted, came back, and went on to pioneer some of Apple's greatest creations ever. Sense of control urgency. Steve Jobs acted with a sense of urgency in all he did, as it allowed him to look to the future and motivate his team towards success. But it was a sense of control urgency and one that was backed by a great deal of thought. This is what allowed Steve Jobs to create innovative solutions and cutting-edge products before consumers even knew they want or need them. Vision. Above all things, Steve Jobs had vision, and this creative vision challenged his employees and drove them to act with vision as well. He was always thinking of the future and always had a clear idea of what he wanted to move towards. This vision helped Steve Jobs pull his team together and help them work toward a common goal whenever he had a new idea for the future of Apple.
Steve Jobs has said he learned some of his best lessons about being adaptable or being able to handle changes when he was fired from Apple. And he used that time to adapt not only his personal skills but also professional ones to become a better person and a better leader. He was noted for being a difficult boss with no care for his employees. That was a big reason for his termination. Later in a speech at Stanford University, he said that being fired was the best thing that ever happened to him. Therefore, from his experience, we can learn about adaptability, and a good leader should have these skills.
Anything that I've learned from Steve Jobs' qualities and capabilities is to be persistent. Now, not many people have the passion to stick to something and never lose hope. And on the other hand, not many people are born with the charismatic quality that allows others to follow them in their work. But I think that's something that all of us should have. And in order to be a good leader, you have to have that stubborn quality that makes you stick to something and not just give up midway. It's something that Steve Jobs once said. Sometimes in life, You will be hit in the head by a brick. Just don't give up.